Okay, so today I'm going to talk about an astral trip I had. This was a bit ago, but I kept failing to record it, so here we are. And I went to the astral realm, but this time I went to the Astral Arena. So this time I remembered a lot more. I was way more astrally lucid than I usually am. So I realized my lucidity in the astral is growing. So for example, when we went into the astral this time, I was completely aware I was in the astral. And I actually brought my mom with me. And what we did was we went to the Astral Arena. And this time, usually when we go to the Astral Arena, you just go into a game. You get to choose a game, or your guides choose a game for you and you play in it, and then you wake up back and then you're like, oh, okay, I played this game, or I got to play the game, whatever it is, right? But this time, I got to actually go to the arena altogether and see what it actually is like. So this is what it looked like. So as I'm there, I'm like, whoa, this is the astral. Like I'm aware I'm here. Everything is strong, right? And I remember we're walking and there's like this glass wall, right? It feels like you're in like a coliseum almost, or like if you were in the coliseum of like where you go to watch a basketball game. So you're walking down the hallway and it like curves, right? It's curving. So it's like, I guess it's like a circle. And so you're walking down this big hallway, huge roof and wide hallway. And you're walking down, there's all these different beings walking. Like there's some that look like gelatinous beings. Some look like butterflies. Some just look like reptile beings or lion beings. There was like beings from everywhere in this place. And I was like, yo, like, this joint is so cool. And then there was a giant leaderboard. Now, before we go to leaderboard, I want to say I looked at the glass and you could see the arena and people fighting in the arena. And it's like a game. They show the game, and the game was like Battle of Boss. And it looked like a coliseum type of thing where people are standing and watching, and you could see the game and they're all fighting. But in the game, when you're watching, you could be in it, or you could watch from the glass. Like you could be in the Coliseum seats, or you could watch from the glass and you could see the fight. And the beings that were watching in the Coliseum were beings from all over the galaxy. And they're watching these different astral projectors fight in the arena. And I was like, yo, this is cool. I look at the leaderboard and they have different astral people's names. And sometimes there's like a 2% of them were actually ETs playing in the game. So 98% of them were other astral projectors. And they had all these different games, and it looked like Friv.com, bro. It looked like Friv.com, but this is what's ominous about it, is you look and it has all these different boxes of different games, right? Laid out. And you could choose what game you want to play. All the pictures look very childlike, but the names and everything, it was so cool. But the one, I was looking at them and I was like, I want to remember all of them. Because I was like, okay, I want to see how much I can take with me to the physical, right? I was looking at all the games. But the only one I remembered fully, like that I took with me and said, whoa, this is a game that I want to play, was the one called Lyra. It literally was just labeled Lyra. And it was in the picture of a chicken coop. So it had the picture of a chicken coop and then it said Lyra across it. And I was like, oh, well, we know what that game's about, right? But I kept questioning, I'm like, why is it a chicken coop? Like, why did they show it like that? But the thing is, the pictures look childlike, but when you play it, it's very powerful and very, like, for real, right? That's why it's called an arena, because whatever game you play, the arena is going to look different. The arena and the environment's going to look different, but the game is going to be the same, which is why it's called the Astral Arena. So you can choose what game you want to play. Say you choose Galactic Tanks, right? Well, you know, when you go in that game, it's going to be all about war, galactic war all over the place. And when you're playing, you're in the middle of a huge galactic war where there's war all over the place. And you have to fight in this war. And there's a goal, right? The goal is something certain. You are playing that game setup in a certain environment that they create for you. And now remember, you could choose to play these games for whatever reason. Maybe you want experience. Maybe you want to learn something. Whatever it is, you take what you play in these games, you take to the physical. And remember, it's extremely real. I saw that game, it said Lyra. Now don't forget that, we're gonna touch about that in a second. But later on, I remember seeing Broly, which is, you guys know my soul twin. she was there as well. But she looked at her watch. We have Astral watches. She looked at her Astral watch. She was like, okay, I gotta go in my assignment. Like, she had an assignment. So I was like, okay, go, I'll see you later when we're playing the game. So I'm walking my mom and showing her around, and I was like, she ain't gonna remember much of this, right? But then we played this game. It was hide and go seek. And they set it up in like a house. And this house didn't have windows. It was weird. But you had to hide from these giant snapping turtles. And this is when Broly came in, and Broly remembers this. So the people that were in the Astral there either remember parts of it, or they remember none of it. Or they just remember how it feels. And so I remember we were talking about it, and I was like, Broly, do you remember the snapping turtles? And she was like, yes, I remember trying to like take them down, and you told me not to. And then I did, and then realized, yeah, we can't take them down. You're meant to hide from them. It's hide and go seek. And I laughed, and I was like, that's exactly how it went. I was like, Broly, you can't. Like, part of the game is you hide. You don't fight them. And if you try and fight them, it ain't gonna work. She, like, was tackling it and on its back, and then she was like, yeah, it ain't gonna work. So then we started hiding, and I remember my mom was like, go hide somewhere. And I hid in the shower, and I was gonna trap it in the shower, like, wait for it to go in the shower, and then run and close it and lock it. But by then, when I was hiding in the shower, my friends found me. Literally, Broly and them came, and they were like, found you! And it was actually like, it felt like we were kids again. I was like, oh my god. Like, yeah, y'all got me, but where's the damn snapping turtles, right? I was gonna trap it. But they were like, it's time for the next game. The game is over. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we played another game where we had to, it was like an adventure. And my mom was there this time. And there was a blue cat that helped us, and it literally died to help us in the game. And there was like an owl too. And my mom was she's like, I'm never gonna forget the blue cat. I'm like, are you enjoying the game so far? And she's like, yes, this is amazing. I want to remember it all. And I said, okay, you won't remember it all, but hopefully you remember the blue cat since it was so powerful. So long story short, the games are going on in the end, and then we have a party at my house. And a bunch of different beings are here. My mom is there. And there's fillers. We call them fillers. These are people that are our family, but aren't. Like, they're our family, but they're just mimicry. Like, I remember my aunt was there, and I was like, Auntie, you know, you're just a dream. You're just like an astral character, right? And she was trying to avoid answering. It's just like when you tell dream characters they're a dream character. It's like she kept avoiding it, but then she was like, after I was like, Auntie, you're an astral character. You're a dream character, essentially. She's like, I know. Anyways, and then she kept talking, and I was like, whoa, okay. Like, I literally just wanted to see what she would say. And she was like, yeah, anyways, and she kept talking, and then she brought up the blue cat. And then me and my mom, we got kind of silent, but like not in a bad way. We were just like, you know, we'll never forget what the blue cat did for us. So we stopped for a second, and then we looked at each other, and we're like, yeah, we'll never forget the blue cat. And my mom was explaining the story to all of them, and we were celebrating. I was like, Mom, don't forget the blue cat. That's going to help you remember when we come back. She's like, okay, I will. I'll try my best. But in the celebration, it's like I knew she wasn't going to remember, which is why we had the celebration there. It was like they called it half celebration. Or what did they call it? It was like half celebration. I'm trying to translate it, but it's essentially like, it's like an astral celebration, knowing that you're not going to celebrate or take it with you to the physical. So we celebrated there, and in my head, that's why I call it like half celebration, because in my head I was like, we're getting ready to go back to the physical soon. She needs this party to like reminisce, have fun, be like, yeah, the games are fun, and then go back to the physical, and she's not gonna remember nothing. So it was like we were doing this for my mom. And Broly was there for a minute, and then she looked at her watch. She's like, I gotta go my assignment. I was like, yeah, go ahead. And then I woke up with the physical. My mom, do you remember the blue cat? Do you remember anything? She was like, no, I just remember being somewhere, but that's it. She didn't remember anything. So I was like, I know you weren't gonna remember anything, but we celebrated and whatnot, right? So going back to now the Lyra game. I got to play the Lyra game more after that, and it's fun. When I played it, the arena was set up like it was on my street, and there was UFOs and jets fighting each other in the sky. And I kept trying to show everybody, I'm like, look what's happening, but they kept like disguising themselves. And then after that, this one bus driver would not stop chasing me. Like, she would get out her bus and chase me And then when I'd run away, she would get back in the bus and drive around trying to find me. And it was always you could run, but you can't hide, which was just like what it was, back in Lyra times, back in the start of the Galactic War, when they were trying to find us, and it was like you can run, but you can't hide. We realized we have to fight these things. We're like, we can't run, we have to fight them. It's just like that in the game. Again, it's game Lyra. So we realized we're gonna have to fight them. So the whole point was like trying to get in a stance in which we could fight them and then fight them. And it was fun. It was like you tried to run, but you know you're gonna come across them, and then you fight them, and you're getting the experience of fighting low vibrational beings there, and just overall being in that game, which was really fun. Now I'm going back to when I first saw the Lyran game, which was in this astral projection trip. After this whole trip, I went on the Discord server, and I was like, I had to ask my homeboy Genie. I was like, why did they do chickens? Like, why was it a chicken coop? And what was fascinating was, before I went astral that night, I'm going to show you a picture. There was an ad that came up, and it was called Squad Busters, something like that. And it was basically sending me a message that me and the squad are going to go in astral a lot. And I was like, okay, thank you for that message, right? And it was true. It did happen. But there was chickens with them. And I was like, and I did this after I woke up from the astral and realized, yo, they told me about this chicken thing. So we go to the astral, we see the Lyra game that had the chicken coop, and then I woke up and I was like, yo, what is with these chickens? Because I saw this before I went to bed too, this ad with the chickens. When I asked Genie about why it was a chicken coop, I was like, why was it, I don't understand, can you help me understand? And he was like, yeah, because just like in Lyra, it was like the reptilians saw the Lyrans as food and as enemies. So they would trap them in these, like, it was almost like keeping chickens in a chicken coop. But then when the chickens escaped, they were a huge threat. So they saw us like chickens, and in the game, you have to escape the like enslavement, and or you have to run, and you're on the run, and then you realize you have to fight them. So then that made total sense. I was like, wow. The way things are aligned and set up was crazy, because it's like they already tell you about it before, or they put up the signs before. So then when you get the experience you're gonna get, you realize it was extremely divine because you're already being told about it before without even kind of knowing it. It's really cool. I just wanted to show y'all Friv.com for a second, because the games in this are very aligned and similar to what the games actually look like in the Astral Arena. Let's go through some of the games that were real. Like when we look at Car Rush, that was a real thing. Box's Wizard, that was a real thing. This was a game where you had to graduate from the planet. Like you had to ascend off the planet, but it wasn't hairstyles, it was just graduation. And you had to ascend out of the planet, or ascend out of the dimension. Zombie Attack, just like how it says. This one was a fun one, Spot the Shapeshifter. There's like 8 people, and you guys are all like in a room together, and you have to spot who the shapeshifter is, who the reptilian is. That's super damn cool. Any game you see here, you're gonna see a game like that in the Astral Arena. Of course, there's like a little spin on it that makes it more unique to the Astral. This one, Miragine, I think that's how you say it, Miragine War. That one's one of my favorites. You actually invite, this is a multiplayer one, you invite your friends into the Astral, and you guys battle each other in like a great war. Again, anything you see here, you go see it. Some of my favorite were like the boss ones, where you would fight a boss. A whole heap of something that, again, anything you see here is a game that would be in the Astral. But yeah, that trip was really bomb. And the only ones I remember much about this trip was Broly and another few people in the server. But yeah, I love astral projecting with my family and my friends and my soul squad. Shout out to the dogs. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.